Hello, hello. Welcome to week number 18 post me quitting my job. This is a 6-month podcast series where I'm diving into all of the things that building my businesses so that I don't have to get a 9 to 5 ever again. So we're diving into the systems that I'm putting into place, the strategies I'm putting into place, the mindset that I'm cultivating, the roller coaster that I'm riding on, all of the things as we build out Empowered by Women, which is our community platform that supports women entrepreneurs. As I build out my coaching business, where I support these women entrepreneurs in building their brand visibility and how they're getting creative with that and how they're building the foundations for that sustain long-term growth in terms of their brand visibility. My speaking business, because I have found a very, very, very deep, passionate love about speaking, public speaking, keynoting, offering workshops, all the things. And then also Book of Bijou, which is my product line. It's a jewelry organizer designed to look like a coffee table book, and it's cute AF. So check that out. So this is now week 18. I feel like I don't have a ton of updates since our last episode, but because I committed to the series, we're here, we're chatting, but I do feel like it's going to be a short episode today. So let's talk. What are our recent updates? Let's start with Book of Bijou, just because I have literally a full wall of books to my left, and it's just very obvious and in my line of sight. So let's start with Book of Bijou. I officially updated the inventory on our website, which is really, really exciting. And now that I'm talking about this podcast, I just realized I have another thing to add to my to-do list, and that is to send out a newsletter to all of the people on our email list saying that the inventory has been updated. So I posted a quick reel onto Instagram sharing that it was back in stock, but that was kind of the extent of it. As you all know, especially if you've been listening to this podcast, there is like a million things that I'm working on at once. Would I recommend doing it to the way that I'm doing it? Absolutely not. Do I feel like I could handle it? I'll give myself a little bit of grace, and I feel like if anyone can do it, I can do it. And that's kind of how we've been rolling with it. So it's funny. With my previous job as a manager, I was working for a government agency in the training department, and it was like every action item had 10 associated action items. And I feel like I've just recreated that for myself with everything that I'm building with these businesses. So, some things you just can't get away from. So I'm excited to send out that email, and then tomorrow, you know what? I need to just block that out of my calendar, because tomorrow I need to actually go ahead and just like package up some books for some old unfulfilled orders from when we first launched, which is crazy. The crazy thing is that I'm like so obviously so grateful for. No one has ever asked me for a refund for a book that they haven't received. And it was some more background into Book of Bijou. We pre-launched without having the product in hand in 2021, because my little naive self was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be beautiful. We're going to get it. Everything's going to be perfect. And I really relied on the manufacturer to hold their word and to execute the project as we agreed on and to deliver the project as we agreed on. So we opened up for pre-orders. I figured that would be a great way to get a little cash injection before the project actually before the product actually arrived in person. And it turns out that first shipment order, as I mentioned, wasn't what it was supposed to be. The standard, it just like was not there execution wise. So those became our misprints. And what I did in the meantime to kind of remedy the situation for the people that did pre-order is that I shipped them a complimentary misprint and left the regular order unfulfilled. So sometime this week, I'm going to carve out time to finally fulfill those orders and get them shipped out. And then really start pushing towards making new sales. So we do have a vendor pop-up thing that I'm going to be a part of from the Empowered by Women side, but I'm seeing if they'll be okay with me bringing my product line as well, since I'll have the space for it. So that's going to be on the 20th. And I'm excited to actually have like proper orders. I've always only had the misprints available when I did pop-ups. And thankfully, I've been able to get rid of almost all of our black version, the noir version of our books at these pop-ups. We still do have a couple of the blanc versions, which is the white colorway, available in the misprints. But this is going to be the first pop-up where I have like, this is the real product. You're paying full price. So I'm very, very curious about what the reception of that is going to be. Yeah. So I'm excited to update you on that. So that is happening on the 20th. So obviously you won't get an update about that in the next 1 or 2 episodes, but we will keep you updated for sure. Now moving on to AI. I thought that I had finally put together the whole stack, which I think is a technological term that they use when you like put multiple platforms together, like working together and communicating together. I'm still up in my knowledge on the whole verbiage of the technology world, but I thought that I had properly created my stack so that I can take ChatGPT, prompt it to give me a whole bunch of contacts, throw that into my Google Sheets after I verified them using Hunter.io, I believe is the software I downloaded. Throwing the contacts into my Gmail, no, not Gmail, Google Sheet, and then Zapier would recognize that I've added contacts into my Google Sheet and then prompt ChatGPT to review the information, determine what kind of opportunity, what kind of speaking opportunity, because that's what I'm focusing on right now for my AI. What kind of speaking opportunity is available with that contact? Is it a keynote? Is it a panel? Is it a workshop? Is it a virtual summit? And then prompt ChatGPT to refine a brief outreach email based on that information. And then it would connect to Mailshake, which is a cold email platform, and then send out those emails. And then if they don't respond, Mailshake would also send out automated follow-up emails saying, hey, in case you missed this, go ahead and book the call. So I was really excited once I built it out. I tested it out, didn't seem to work. And I have not had the time to troubleshoot the process yet. So hopefully next week I'll have a better update for you. And yes, absolutely. Like once I figure this out, I'm going to be teaching people how to do this because I know, like I feel it in my bones that it's going to be game changing. And I'm excited for it to finally be working. And then from there, I can continue to refine the process, continue to refine the copy or the frequency of the follow-up, the timing of the follow-up. What does the follow-up language say? And see what's working to get meetings booked onto my calendar. So that'll be exciting once it works. I just need to figure out how to make it work. And then once I do that, I can replicate it for different parts of the business. We just had our very first virtual co-working session, members only co-working session. And me and one of the gals were chatting towards the end about like just all of these systems that I'm putting into place and how like passionate I've gotten about creating these systems. And I could totally see myself in the future having like systems training and potentially system build out. I don't know if I want to do a DFY type thing, a done for you service, but I definitely see like systems training and systems coaching on the horizon. So that'll be exciting to see how that kind of unfolds as well. But obviously I still have my brand visibility coaching offer that I'm still working to refine and build out. So that is another thing that's high on the list because I do want to make sure that I'm focusing on the things that are going to be lucrative, that are going to bring in higher revenue numbers, to make sure that I'm not having to go back and find a regular 9-to-5 job because I would love to just keep my schedule in my control because it's been wonderful. I'm always here recording these podcasts in my gym clothes because I literally go to the gym in the morning and then I just come home and then just start working right away. And I want to keep that schedule. So that's what we're going to make happen. Okay. But I have kind of given myself, like, I think I've internally decided, you know what? Even after the 6 months is over, I'm going to give myself an added buffer of time to not try to find the 9 to 5. I really want to give myself the time to put these systems into place with the AI and the automation so that I can bring in the higher ticket things like the large speaking engagements and hopefully get booked and paid for those. And then also to be able to build that out for our sponsorship program. So we're getting a lot of funding in that way. And it's not just like solely relying on our membership, which has been great recurring revenue, but also I can't just rely on that. I don't know what I was thinking. I feel like I keep losing my train of thought. So quick updates to what I said I was going to do last week. I said I was going to send out another 10 proposals to potential clients for my coaching offer. I did not do that. So I'm going to do that as soon as I'm done recording this podcast episode, because like I said, we need to focus on the things that are going to bring in more money in less amount of time. So that is on my to-do list today. And then I'm going to go to this networking event with the Lafayette Chamber this evening, which one of our girls, Terry, is sponsoring. So I'm excited to go to support her, but also to just get connected with the other people that are part of the chamber. I also went to a networking event last night to support our event director, Lauren of Lo and Behold Events, and she hosted this beautiful showcase of vendors at the Lighthouse in Glen Cove Marina, which I've been wanting to go there for forever. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful space. So we're definitely going to be bringing some Empowered by Women events there in the future for sure. But if you are looking to host your own event or get married or whatever, have a birthday party, it's a beautiful event. Beautiful venue. Definitely check it out. And before we end this, I do want to talk about networking a little bit, because networking is powerful, but I don't think not everyone knows how to properly network and how to make it turn into something, right? For one, there are so many different networking rooms to be a part of. And I do think there is power in recognizing which ones will offer you value. I think there's value in every room, yes, but not every room is really meant for you and will be worth your time. But you can still put the same practices into place regardless of which room you're in. Like, I absolutely believe, even if you show up to a networking event and you're like, wow, this is not my crowd at all, like, I don't even want to be here, you can still maximize it and get something out of it. I do believe that. But at this networking event yesterday, I met some really incredible people, and some of those people were connected to some really great organizations. So I have planted the seed for some future partnerships, which is really exciting. I'm definitely in a space where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to actively pursue any big partnerships and things that are adding new ideas to the plate right now. I'm in a season of refinement and working with what we have and trying to optimize that. But I also know that this is a long game and that I want to start still building those relationships and planting those seeds so that when the opportunity does arise and I have capacity to execute one of these partnerships, like, the door will already be open for me. So a thing that I was thinking about yesterday, as I was driving home, is that just being simply like associating yourself with different networking groups, with the Chamber of Commerce, for example, with Empowered by Women, for example, or other communities that might be in your area, you are collapsing time in terms of building the like, no, trust factor, because naturally we will already kind of create this layer of trust or like simply by knowing someone is associated to the same group that we're associated to, right? And these people are called deferrers, is another thing that I've learned this year. I am such like forever student. I'm telling you, you should always be a forever student. But there are people that will tend to defer their trust to others. So when you're a part of the same group, they will immediately kind of think of you as someone that they quote unquote know, even if it's still very surface level, even if they've only met you once, you get to be top of mind for them, for someone that's whatever it is that you offer, right? Like if you're a finance pro, like there's probably a lot of finance people out there, but if they've like met you and they haven't physically met a lot of finance people, like you get to be their top of mind. So just simply putting yourself in the room and having those conversations can be so powerful. Obviously, after the fact, you want to make sure you're actively nurturing that relationship, but still, simply having that initial conversation can collapse time and already builds that first layer of trust so that whenever an opportunity does come their way, they can say like, "Oh, yeah, I met this girl actually last night that does something like that. I can send her information over your way." Um, my brain is just really not working today. So, one thing that I do want to share in terms of what not to do at networking events, and something that I feel like I experienced last night, and I was kind of on the receiving end of it, or maybe the lack of receiving end. I recognize that this takes some time to get used to, especially if you're not the networking type, especially if you're shy or you feel awkward or if you feel introverted. But when you go up to a group of people, especially if it's like two people and they're talking to each other, don't just single one person out and then not even acknowledge the other person that is now in your triangle that you're standing in. And there was a situation like that last night where I was like, huh, like she was very actively talking to the person that I was talking to, but she didn't look at me. She didn't try to shake my hand or introduce herself. And I was waiting for kind of my opening to be the one to introduce myself, but she kind of just like kept talking to the other person. And I was like, okay, I'll just let them have their moment. But that didn't put a great taste in my mouth of that person. And so that's just my little fair warning to all of you. Like, that is something that just don't do it. Be the person that just goes around saying, "Hey, my name is Crystal. Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Crystal." And then go ahead and proceed to talk to the person that you really want to talk to. That's totally fine. You don't have to engage in such deep conversation with everyone, but also don't actively like shut anyone out, especially if you've weaseled your way into their conversation and like interrupted them mid conversation. Like, acknowledge the people in the room. And like I said, I know that takes some getting used to. If you guys caught my previous podcast episode with Kate on her podcast, Kate's one of the girls in our community. She has a podcast called Confident Secrets. And we were talking about networking. And one of my tips was to be that person in the room that is very accessible, that goes around, that is the one to initiate the conversation, because you never know. And you never want to assume that people don't want to talk to you. I always go in assuming like maybe these people that haven't said anything to me, like maybe they're just awkward and waiting for someone to approach them. That's how I always look at networking, because it can be very awkward and people don't like having small talk and don't like putting themselves out there. And I get that. So I try to actively be the one that will be the one to put myself out there first and break the ice a little bit. And I recognize that that kind of creates this lasting impression of me, because you can walk into a room of like 100 people and not remember any single one of them, especially if you're the one that's like going around and like talking to everyone, right? But if someone is like coming to you and being a little bit more, I feel like this episode is already trash just because my brain is not working and I can't come up with the words and the sentences that I'm thinking. But I'm going to go ahead and link Kate's episode episode down below so you can listen to a hopefully a little bit more polished me. Um, but anyways, just being the one to go out there and introduce yourself for some reason, like that leaves a lasting impression in a lot of people's minds because most people aren't like that. Most people are either reserved or they're kind of stuck in their own little groups. So, one, don't be the person that kind of interrupts a conversation but doesn't acknowledge everyone in the conversation that you just interrupted. And it's totally okay to interrupt a conversation. Okay. This is not me telling you not to go into groups of people that are already talking because you don't want to feel like you're interrupting the conversation. Interrupt the conversation. Go in there. Weasel your way into the group and start introducing yourself, but don't introduce yourself to just one person and then act like the people that were in the conversation are not there. Don't do that. But yes, go into those groups and start having conversations. And then be the one to go and introduce yourself. Don't feel like you have to wait for people to approach you. It is something that you need practice doing to feel comfortable with. If you're already comfortable and confident with it, girl, do you? If you're not, build that muscle, right? Start getting used to it. And I promise you, it will get easier the more time passes. So I'm excited to see what connections I create today. And I think that's going to be it for this episode. I know it wasn't really exciting, but like I said, I've committed to this 6-month series and not every episode is going to have big wins. I do feel like I had wins from that networking event last night, and I feel like I'm going to have some wins from the networking event tonight. But let's see. Let's hope that there is some more exciting news in next week's episode. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm rambling. My brain doesn't work. You all are amazing. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you soon.